Hey, Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and I have a Daily Mail article from today, March 2nd, 2022. And it says Putin will go for blood beyond Ukraine. Zelensky's top aide warns from bunker that Putin wants a new Russian empire and there will be a greater European or even global massacre if the West does not do more to stop him. Reading on, I'm not gonna read this whole article. We're just gonna hit these points right here. Check out some pictures of the destruction of Ukraine, and then we're gonna hit the scriptures. It says Andrei Yermak, the Ukrainian president's top aide, warned that Vladimir Putin would go for blood beyond Ukraine if its allies didn't do more to stop him. And the short answer is you can't stop him. You can't stop Putin because the Lord has put his hooks into the jaws of Putin, which means he's controlling Putin, and he's going to push on until World War III does start, until all you heathen nations are gathered down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, which means the Lord's judgment, and so that you can have your judgment for what you did to his hidden ones, to the apple of his eye. It says he made the plea, a guest essay for the New York Times, that he penned from a bunker in Kiev beside President Volodymyr Zelensky. And for a while they were trying to say that Zelensky was on the front lines fighting, but he's in a bunker, because that's all propaganda. This has been eye-opening, the amount of propaganda that has been shown from this I don't know if you call it a war, but this firefight that's going on, this incident that's going on. It says the Kremlin wants to create a new Russian empire, Yermak wrote, after Putin's men unleashed a 15-hour artillery barrage in Mariupol. And this is an example of the heathen raging, because there will not be a new Russian empire. The next empire to rule the world, the next rulership of the world will be Yahweh Shai, sitting on the throne of David with his people, Israel, ruling the world. There's no throne for the heathen. Since he asked for more firepower, including anti-tank and anti-aircraft weapons, and called on NATO to impose a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Yermak begged for tougher sanctions in the form of a full embargo on all Russian exports, including oil, to the U.S. and Europe. And from Isaiah 13, it says, they shall not regard silver or gold. Like, they don't care about your sanctions or your embargoes or whatever you want to do. The Lord's hooks are in his jaws. They're gonna push this on all the way into full-fledged war. Now, let's see some burnt up buildings in Ukraine. There's the president, or the Ukrainian president, Zelensky, who is a former comedian and actor. So take from that what you will. He might just be a puppet for the elite, because usually that's what they are. Which is, we've seen so much propaganda with this, why wouldn't he be? Here's a map of Ukraine and Russia. Some destroyed buildings. And there's a menorah, which actually has 7 points for the 7 churches. And this is crazy to me that they're throwing Molotov cocktails over there against missiles and tanks. And they're supposed, they're trying to join NATO. I mean, is it EU or NATO? They are partnering with the wrong side. They should be allied with Russia. Because look how NATO has left them out. Not helping them one bit. You're throwing Molotov cocktails at Putin's very advanced military. And this is Daniel, 2nd chapter. I'm going to start here at the 31st verse. And this is where the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, had a dream which consisted of this giant statue. And this statue depicted the empires that would rule in the earth until Yahushua returned to take his empire, to build his empire. And he had Daniel interpret this dream for him. But Daniel 2:31, Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass. And this head is referencing Babylon, the Babylonian Empire. The breasts and arms of silver is the Medo-Persian Empire, and the thighs of brass belongs to the Greek Empire. His legs of iron represents Slovakia. Rolling on to 33. His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. These legs of iron representing the Roman Empire, and his feet part of iron and part of clay is a representation of where we are today in the revised Roman Empire, which makes up NATO and the EU. Verse 34, Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. That stone being Yahushua, coming back to destroy the nations, the heathen nations, at the end of this image, at the feet, which means it's the end, and break them to pieces, because he is going to absolutely demolish the heathen when he comes back, especially you, Esau, which Zelensky is an Edomite as well as Putin. Both Putin, or the Russians for the most part, are Edomites, and the Ukrainians for the most part are Edomites. I'm sure there's some Jake scattered in there somewhere, because we've been scattered to the four corners of the earth. But for the most part, those are Edomite kingdoms. Daniel 2:35. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Because nobody's going to remember these heathen kingdoms once they're done away with. And that stone that smote the image became a great mountain, as in mountain referencing government, and filled the whole earth, because his rulership will be throughout the whole earth and forever. Verse 36. This is the dream, and we will tell the... actually, we'll just stop at 35. And we'll move down to 44. It says, And in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. Jacob shall rule world without end. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people. That's for everyone that says that the heathen nations can make it. They will only be left to be, their remnants will be left for the captivity, not for rulership within the kingdom of heaven. Moving on. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Yes, this kingdom is going to be an everlasting kingdom. And Russia, thinking that they're up next for this empire, to build an empire, they're mistaken, because they forgot. I'm sure they read Ezekiel 38 and all that, but they must have forgotten Ezekiel 39. And we'll start at 1. It says, Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against Gog, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Salakia, excuse me. And I will turn thee back and leave. Actually, going back a little bit, Gog is the Russians. This is talking about the Russians. Verse 2, And I will turn thee back and leave, but the sixth part of thee, and will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee up upon the mountains of Israel. And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and will cause thine arrows to fall out of thy right hand. Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee. I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured, because the Lord promised these birds a mighty feast. And that's going to be on your Russian bodies, your Edomite bodies. Verse 5, Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord power. And so, yeah, he's controlling you right now, and he's with you to get his will done, but after that, you're still Edomites, and you are still in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble, Esau, the most of all the nations. And we're going to finish this off with Psalms 2 and 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? And imagining that there is another global superpower or another empire coming up is a vain thing, because Yahushua is about to return. He's coming very soon. Verse 2, The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Bands going into bonds, because they are our bondmen. And the kings of the earth is going into these heathen rulers, these presidents and these prime ministers. And everything they are doing is in vain, because they're going against the greatest power, the universal power, Yahweh, and his son Yahushua, and his people Yasharallah. Verse 4, He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. He should be, because he created them. How could they even think such a thing? The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai hath said unto me, Thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. As in the entire thing, the entire globe, the entire universe. His father's house has many mansions. And the heathen, give them the heathen, as in they're about to go into captivity. They're not building any more empires. None. Verse 9, thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, as in a rigorous rulership. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. And that is all that you can look forward to, Putin and Zelensky and Biden and all these other world rulers, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all the elite, all the heathen. That's what you can look forward to getting dashed into pieces, broken with a rod of iron. And so, with that, I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and shalom to the elect of Israel.